was very upset.
Yeah.
About.
Yeah, I know. What's up? I can't believe it.
Starting with the Olympics, like I'm watching some of the Winter Olympics. I don't. I watch like some of the skiing, snowboarding stuff, but I am a fan of the curling. I like the curling.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I saw, Team USA tearing up the other day, but also my my people in Norway. I was watching some of that last night, and they're playing Italy,
Right.
and I'm like, okay. I mean,
There should be a slam dunk. Like, does Italy even have a winner? Like, whatever.
It's like the
Italy.
Jamaican bobsled team or something.
Yeah, a little home cooking there for Italy. I mean, it's in Italy.
Right. They're the only team that's curling and wife beaters. I'm like, this is your uniform?
You need shoes, sir, not black socks.
And everybody thinks Italy is all just the Mediterranean, all of that warm water stuff. But the northern part of Italy is like quite known for its mountains and, the purest Italians and things like that up there.
They stuck it to Norway.
Yeah. Oh,
Norway.
Take
that. Anything related to ice, Norway's got to kind of pull that down. It's like if you're from Finland or Sweden or, the Scandinavian countries, you got to you can't lose to an Italian team on that. No. You know what I mean?
Those guys. Hey, look at the Mama Luke over there. They lost. Right. Fucking Norway. Right. Oh.
Check his broom for olive oil. It's like a corked bat.
Right. Carlo Costanza, you know what I mean?
Right.
The village idiot. I don't know. Like the Olympics, I just.
How could they curl with those gold chains swinging? I don't know.
The Olympics are. We always joked about the Olympics because we were like a big college football family and baseball, like growing up in New Jersey and New York, and like the Olympics we like never really watched as a family. We were like, it's just like that's like sports for amateurs. People that are like, oh, look at this sporting thing they're doing. You know what I mean? And it's been around forever. Obviously, the Olympics are important. I was hoping for a moment like we had in 1980 where, an Olympic team or athlete could come to us and bring us together with all this division, like the Olympic miracle on ice.
Yeah.
And we were, a lot of turmoil in the world, a lot of turmoil in the country. No. Look, again, I said this all along. You got a First Amendment right to run your mouth as an athlete. I get it because you're an American, but you're representing the entire nation here.
Did you see that skier or whatever the hell that kid was? Did you see what he said?
No.
He said,
I'm getting social media posts on it. I'm just like, I don't want to watch it now. I'm like,
so I'm the same way. I mean, I was watching Norway and Italy. I was kind of hoping the Italian prime minister would come on. That's the only reason I was watching it. She'd come out and start, yelling and screaming like, in a leather dress or something. But anyway, I digress. So this American, I think it was a skier or snowboarder goes, just because something to the effect of just because I represent the flag, that doesn't mean I represent what's going on in the United States. Off. There you go. Right. All right. There you go. Then I'm telling you right now, I don't care what it is. It could be the best red dot pistol that he endorses. It could be the best ammo he endorses. I don't give a shit. If this guy gets one endorsement, I guarantee you I will not buy it, and I will make it my personal mission that everybody I know, even when I introduce myself to someone I don't know, hi, don't buy this kid's product. I swear.
Chris is smacking Wheaties boxes out of people's hands at Publix.
Don't buy that.
Don't touch it. Put that back.
He's just hanging out at the self-checkout. He's wearing like one of those vests that he types from somebody at Walmart.
He's like those ladies at Target buying salt and returning it to protest.
I mean, like, you know what? This is where, like, as being cops, we have a right. We can express ourselves like we do on this show, but we cannot literally go out there and take action based upon where we're at. We're allowed to have political opinions. We're allowed to have our private thoughts and things like that. But why don't you act like a cop once as an athlete and shut the fuck up and not let anybody know what you're thinking? You're out there, like, don't give any credence to the fact that jocks are stupid. You know what I mean? Like, because you're out there like Billie Eilish spouting off shit that you don't know anything about, just further ostracizing and dividing the nation. These people that have all this power, these court jesters, don't even have pieces on the chessboard. And we got to listen to them tell us what's going on. Help us forget about all of this.
Right.
Help us fucking be unified and move forward, because that's what's really going to work, because what we're seeing everywhere else from our politicians is not that. So the Olympics, again, I get it. You got it right. I disagree with it. But if a guy was out there spouting off stuff like John Rocker, when John Rocker was doing it, I was like, dude, shut the fuck up. Just pitch. Mm-hmm. That's what we want to see out of you. I don't even like the Braves, but like, you're a good pitcher. Just pitch. Shut up. Nobody fucking really wants to hear that shit.
No, that we watch that stuff. Right.
and go with the safe bet. Just say, "Hey, I'm very proud to serve to represent the United States."
Don't take the bait
You
from
know?
these reporters that all they're looking to do is divide us, because that's what gets clicks.
Do
Don't
like
take
do
the
like
bait.
Elvis, where he says, "Darling, I'm an entertainer."
I'll rip out your
Oh,
whatever the hell he said.
I'm an entertainer.
oh.
Nobody wants my opinion on that.
Right. That's my opinion on my.
But I mean, it's true. I mean, like listen. I go to the movies to watch the movies. I watch hockey to watch hockey. I don't listen. I don't give a shit what your opinion is. Don't care, because you're entitled to it.
Right.
But don't use that platform to discuss anything of your opinion.
And don't take the
just
bait from
infuriates
the
me.
reporters. Just
No.
don't take the bait. Like just
And talk about what the truth is. Like, before you open your stupid mouth, know what the facts are, you moron. Like
There he
nobody's
goes.
nobody's discussing the fact that all of a sudden now NATO was paying 2%. Now they're paying 5%. Now you have peace. You have somewhat some peace in the Middle East. You have people negotiating Russia. You have. You blew the shit out of the Iranians, and like, where's all the positive stuff? Well, we're going to work on. Well, we're going to talk about ICE, but what they're illegal. Like, just stop. Go ski. Would you please just ski, fall, whatever? I don't care. Just ski,
Compete.
win the
We don't even
gold.
care
Just
if you bring
shut
home
up.
medals. Just compete.
Yeah.
Just
Can you just
compete, do
can you
your
just
thing.
curl?
Yeah, like
Okay.
Yeah,
TMI,
I'm like,
just TMI. Just like, look, people tune into this show to hear our opinions on things. Obviously, I feel like there's three clowns talking about people having opinions, and their shows about their opinions. You know what I mean? But it's like that's not a conversation. We like to have a conversation with people. You can call it what
but
you
this
want.
is the platform for it.
Right, exactly. Like, where you have a long form platform to do that. The sound clip to get people to click, to show how disappointed you are to represent and all the athletes don't feel that way. A lot of the other athletes have come out and said, I don't agree with what he's saying at all. He should just be quiet and be proud to represent his country. Right or wrong doesn't really, it matters, obviously, but like, just be proud to represent a team for a nation as impactful as the United States is in the world, and stop reminding everybody else about why we suck and all this other shit. Like, we got enough of that going on in our own media.
Well, and at the core of that is, if you don't like America, then don't compete for America in the Olympics. Like,
because
that's
there were so many people.
Go curl for Norway.
You want to take
Go
a
curl for
stand.
Norway.
Well, I mean, because the Chinese are more than willing to pay you for that, because that's what they did in the last Olympics.
Right.
You had American athletes over there. If you go work for the communists, go actually work for them if that's what you think is what you're willing to do. Again, obviously it's aggravating, because here's what happens for us as cops, particularly ones that are still in the process of working. A further divided society makes our job even that much harder.
Yeah.
And you see our own politicians turning on us on so many levels as police officers. The very politicians that don't go and do their jobs to change the laws, like Chris has passionately said so many times on this show, but they still send us out there to be the people that have to deal with I don't know about you guys, Chris. I don't know if you're getting these, but you see a lot more bolos now. People really upset with law enforcement and have suicidal ideations in which they want to take out police officers or have police officers take them out because they're upset about what's going on with ICE. I pay attention to these things, especially after 25 years of doing the job. You're like, man, I'm seeing a lot more of those bulletins coming out, a lot more warnings from fusion centers and things like that. And you think to yourself, this is all because people are constantly being told what demons we are.
Right.
And again, unification might be nice. Go back to 1980s, the Miracle on Ice. You know what I mean? Like,
and you know what? With that, I watched the video and I sent it to you guys on this chief, which it hit home for me with Grand Rapids, Michigan, because Kate being at school and stuff. And, I'm up that way a lot, and Grand Rapids is a very nice town. They've got a chief up there, Eric Windstrom, and he's leaving as the chief actually to go to the free state of Florida, Chris, down in Pensacola. He's going to be Pensacola.
down there in Pensacola.
Get your greens on, Chiefy. Get your greens on.
Dealing with
that band uniform ready. So for those of you, I did not know he was the chief, and I didn't really know anything about him, but this video came up about him, and he takes a question from someone in the media, and he proceeds to go on just kind of a whole, not a rant, but he gave what I thought was a very good explanation of kind of what chiefs are probably thinking about. I mean, the rank and file, like everybody's thinking about, but this is something that chiefs are dealing with at the higher level a lot of times. And again, Grand Rapids, it's very blue kind of area for the most part, but Um, it's a nice city, but it has its problems, like most cities do, and it has a lot of liberal policies. And so he essentially talks about, well, here's what I've experienced. He said, I know, and I'm paraphrasing, but he says, I have colleagues all over the United States. I have a lot more colleagues, chiefs of police and those types of things who are working in places where people appreciate their police officers. They
Mm-hmm.
appreciate the police. The community gets along well with the police. And he said, working where he does in Grand Rapids, where he's been working, he said it's been so hard to try to do those more. I'm using the word progressive as in like um, getting up to speed with other law enforcement agencies around the country. He
Mm-hmm.
said one of the biggest things that he ran into, one of the biggest hurdles, was trying to get a drone program going. And he said everybody has to make a big deal about it, how it's going to fund and what's it coming from. And he says this is something that is becoming part of law enforcement technology everywhere.
Right.
It's not something that it should be this big deal or be this hard to find funding for it. He says this is something that we're doing. And apparently they did some kind of documentary up there too, where people were riding with police officers, and they were showing this documentary to get people to kind of see the real things that they deal with out on the street. And people were giving him flack about it.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to see the personal side of who these people are and the things that they deal with and what really goes on day to day. And it's like, that's the stuff that people do want to see, because we're all human. Like, we deal with this job. Back to Sean's point, and we're going to talk about it more, they want to do that demonizing. They want to do that separation. Right. They want you to think police are bad, law enforcement bad. They're all a bunch of racists. They don't care about anything. They don't want to dare show the things that you struggle with and the awful things that you see. And actually, the good things that happen 99% out of the time that law enforcement interacts with the public.
Right.
Right.
And
go ahead.
One of the best things that I thought he said, and again, I'd encourage people to go listen to this, Eric Winstrom from Grand Rapids. I'll just end it on this, but one of the best things that I thought that he said was essentially, look at cities around the country that are doing well, and you'll typically see that their police department is also doing well. Like, they have a good police department, works well with the community, doing the things that people expect of them, has the resources, that's a big part of it, has the resources to be a proactive, solid police department. And he says, just look anywhere that is not one of those cities where it's defund, again, I'm embellishing this a little bit, but like what he's getting at is like, look at where the places where you're trying to defund or constantly cutting the police or making the police out to be your scapegoats all the time. Those are typically cities that are struggling with a lot of other stuff, financially, crime, you name it.
Right.
Corruption.
Right. And plus, it's a better relationship between civilians and police in those jurisdictions too. I mean, and you have this. We're trying to make a better place, and there's people in this world that don't even know what we want to do. It's like me being like, doing, taking out my appendix. I don't want to see it. I don't want to watch it. I pay a professional to do it because I don't want to see it. And a lot of people don't want to know what we do because some of it's horrific. They just want to know when they go to bed at night and they lock their doors and they put their head on a pillow, there's men and women out there that's going to take care of it, and they're going to wake up in a safer place, and they pray for us. They don't want to know the details. They just want to know that they're safe. And for these people to come out there and say, well, I don't want to humanize it. I don't want, you know what? Then just shut your mouth, put your head on the pillow, and know that there's men and women out there doing your bidding by taking care of bad people and bad situations. But don't open your mouth and say you don't want to. Then if you don't want to know, then in my opinion, you have no right to say a freaking word.
Well, I mean, some of this is for now, I'd say to that. Like, for now, people are willing to do that. If this continues at the rate that it's at, that it's this adversarial. And look, let's just stop pulling punches. We're talking about Democrats here, folks. We're not talking about Republicans. We're talking about Democrats here. And in these major cities that we continue to see this adversarial relationship with the police and this lack of respect from the police, and these people keep getting elected. Look, I don't know how to change these people's minds. I've walked among them. Let me be honest with you. I have a very big and diverse family that has varying views on politics and things along those lines. But they're kind people, they're good people, they understand it. But you're not going to change their minds. You're just not going to change your mind no matter what you put in front of them until it's completely obvious and whatever. A lot of those folks that I know of that live that way also will have the means to leave when something isn't working anymore. We came from a place, Chris, you and I, where we came from a place was like we were told it's like, man, this is pretty complex. Third largest city in America, one of the metro areas around it, pretty modernized, professional, things like unions, everything else. And I got down here and I was like, yeah, well, I guess I'll deal with whatever. Well, first and foremost, don't go work for a school. That's what I would say. That's my experience. Do not go work for any college, university. Doesn't matter how conservative they say they are. Academia is academia, and it doesn't really work. They don't appreciate law enforcement. Even the professors were not accessible to me as a member of that agency. But beyond that, when I stepped out and worked in the city, I'm just being honest with you, I marveled at how this city operates. It works. It's one of the oldest cities in America. How people get along with each other, how people solve problems as opposed to like just destroying and tearing each other's down. And this city's seen everything from civil war to literally racially motivated murders in churches and everything else. And the city's still standing, and people are still coming together. We've had guests on the show. Chris Singleton came on and talked about the Emanuel 9. His mother was murdered by a avowed racist wanting to start a race war, and this city somehow got it together, made it happen. You got to marvel at this stuff. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. All the myths you're told by these big metropolitan urban areas are dying on the vine, and these smaller, more regionalized cities that are getting an influx of people from all over the nation. So it's not just like, well, that's how they think down there.
Right.
South Carolina led the nation in people coming inbound to it more than any other state in the United States, even more than Florida right now. But Florida, everybody you meet, Chris, I'm sure it's just like down here. Nobody's from this place originally.
No.
And the people that are ones that have seen it all. They've seen it all of racism at its worst, all of these things. And the bottom line is just they've figured it out. People are coming down here and getting it. You see, it doesn't matter what party they're in. They just go, this is what works, and this is what keeps us together. What we got to end in this country is the idea that as police officers that we are literally your enemy because the people that are elected have gone through a terrible education process. Horrible. We don't create critical thinkers in the United States anymore through academia.
No.
We just don't. You're indoctrinated. You're told to think a certain way. It's a profession, like when they told our profession, as they said with 30-30, it's an 80% profession. It's all male, and that's why it's so messed up. Well, there's another profession that's 80% female, and it's the education system. And there's no value for diversity there. There's no open-mindedness, and we've long talked about how men are being failed and things along those lines, and I don't want to go down that path. But the bottom line is like you look at this stuff and you say to yourself, it can work. There are places. I am literally living in a place where it's working, and more people are coming. They like what it has to offer. They, obviously respect and understand the city's history and the state's history, but it's not stopping people from coming here and wanting a better life and getting it, to be honest with you.
Right.
And our department is respected. I don't care what anybody says. I've been there, dude, and I'm out there all the freaking time. We got great leadership. We got a clear vision, and we all understand where we fit in with this, where the goalposts are and what we need to do. It's amazing. Guys, I've never seen anything like it, and I'm so blessed to be part of it. And I'll have, during my lifetime, now I've walked by people that want to spit on the ground just simply because I exist. It's unreal. I mean, I can't believe it.
Well, and again, I mean, I've been through both. I've been through both tunnels too, and I just think that again, I've mentioned this before. When you have people that are in your politicians spewing out lies, like I've watched some of these congressional hearings this last week, and it's just like you're trying to make them say yes or no to a question that's a lie. It's just a lie, and they're. And again, it's the Democrats that are spewing the lies about law enforcement. Like they're saying ICE is not law enforcement. Well, if you read the definition of law enforcement, anybody who enforces the laws that you create is law enforcement. But you are demonizing them and us for your political push. And it's so stupid, and it divides the country. It divides cities. And when you have people that stand up more in the South, then, oh, well, they're racist. No, we're not racist. It's consequences for your actions. I don't care who you are. Right. And we have politicians that make laws and change laws according to what makes sense. And when you're on the congressional floor and you're trying to talk to people, you just don't lie. You don't lie and say, ICE is not law enforcement, or, they're breaking the law. Like, they're not. They're just not. And it just has to stop, because I don't know how much worse it could get but because I'm starting to see people starting to get sick and tired of the whole thing, and just tired of the lies and the manipulation, and like people just want the truth, and I think you're seeing more and more of it.
Well, and with that, with this, the dangers that law enforcement is facing, now you've got out in California where they're talking about trying to make these law enforcement mask bans. And that was one of the other things we are going to talk about today, because this is happening.
Well, they better make a COVID mask ban. If I see one
Right.
person with a COVID mask on, they're going to get locked up.
Right.
Sorry.
And this, they've got, well, the story essentially starts with the Los Angeles Police Chief, Jim McDonnell. And he made headlines when he said that LAPD officers will not enforce California's new mask ban on federal agents. And he says, and this is to quote him from this article. This was in from Citizens Behind the Badge. He says, it wasn't well thought out. The reality of one armed agency approaching another armed agency to create conflict over something that would be a misdemeanor at best or an infraction, it doesn't make any sense. And it really doesn't. I mean,
Right.
Why are you? They say it's about accountability and it's about transparency, right? But every asshole, and I'm tired of actually calling them protesters. I'm calling them insurrectionists, because what these people are doing out there in
Absolutely.
Minnesota,
Here, Scott.
You're not protesting.
Here.
You're not protesting, okay? You are actively fighting against law enforcement, actively trying to impede their job. The most ignorant one I saw, and just to do a quick Minnesota thing here, was these clowns that were standing out in the middle of an intersection with a bunch of pallets and basically set up their own little toll booth that you had to go through these folks to tell them who you were so they could verify that you weren't ICE, so that you were okay to come in their neighborhood. And I'm like, how hypocritical is this of what your whole alleged mission is of this bullshit? And you would have got fucking smacked by me as I drove past going, who the fuck are you trying to tell me?
It's the long one on the right.
Drive down this fucking street. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But these are the people they're calling freedom fighters out there. They don't even know the basic rule. The thing they're protesting
Freedom
against,
fighters,
they're quickly
shut up.
engaging in. Like, I want to see your papers. Oh, are you not doing the same thing because you think I'm ICE? And then and say I am. What are you going to do? You're forcing a conflict.
And you see him out there. Let me see your papers. You first. Me first. Me first. You first. Me first.
Right.
Let me see your papers.
Stupid.
Yeah. What does five fingers say to the face? So, so here you are, with this mask thing, and they're trying to say because they want accountability, transparency, blah, blah, blah. Although you've never held anybody that's rioting on that side, or any of those folks, or anybody that's doing anything, running up to the face and impeding law enforcement. I don't see you running out there and having your cops come charge any of them with anything for wearing these masks. And they love to say, well, you should show your face because they're just these masked people out there kidnapping people. No, the reason they're not showing their full faces, is because you literally have teams of people who are trying to find these people, dox them on the internet, call their homes, threaten their family, threaten their kids. You take enough of that shit as a cop. When somebody would say to you, how many times does somebody say, I'm going to find you, man. You better hope I don't find you when you're not working, and this kind of shit. And it's like, fuck you, whatever. Good luck. But this is real people being attacked. Their families being threatened. It's
1,000% increase in that.
1,000% increase. So sorry, but the situation has made this why they have to do that. If you were peaceful protesters that were not attacking law enforcement, then we could all just be unmasked and we could all do our thing, and you could do your constitutional thing that you're doing, and I could be over here doing my job that I'm sworn to do as law enforcement. But you've made it this way. And now what you're trying to do is, they don't give a shit about whether they're wearing masks. What they're trying to do is they're trying to do that to interrupt and interfere and back down the enforcement, because they figure if we can just dox them enough. They don't care about any of these ICE agents. They don't care about what's happening. They just want to know if we can find ways.
They don't care about the people that they say that they're trying to protect, that are illegal immigrants, because they only want them here for one reason: their votes. And if you keep the people here, it's not about who shows up to vote at the polls. It shows up who's on the the census. And if those people are there, you don't have to worry about losing seats in congressional power and all of these things that are going on. It's almost so obvious. And then the corruption is completely a whole other issue that's associated with the social welfare and all of the other things that are part of that. It's an 80-20 issue right now. It's probably 90-10 for all I know. But the bottom line is like, it doesn't work. And they need to hold on to these folks as long as they possibly can, because their ideas and their policies, again, are not resonating with everyday Americans and even people that have come here illegally and then finally gain their citizenship. It doesn't poll well with them. And the problem with it is that it's this idea of, I'm a dying political party, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to burn the whole thing down by trying to have cops like terrorized for doing their jobs. I mean, you see the chaos that this leads to and what they talk about. Like, they're criminalizing an officer's survival. Why would I want to wear a mask when every time I'm out there, you've got these people that are calling you every name in the book? Yeah, again, either we're humans or we're robots, but we're not, exclusive in each one of those. The bottom line is a human that has to go out and face this every single day. They're trying to run us over. And this is the stuff we're actually seeing that's happening. They're coming and they're throwing things at you. They're doing all sorts of things, calling you names day in and day out. These people can't handle somebody not getting their pronouns properly identified in a first meeting with them, and it may be a little sliding scale, so they'll lose their minds about that. But a federal agent should stand out there and every single day and say, I'm going to come fucking kill your family. Your kids are going to die. You're a coward. You listen to the videos. You just watch it and think to yourself, and all the comments on there are like, man, I don't know how these guys can take it. You know what happened with those two people in Minneapolis? Obviously, the Trump administration, the DOJ, has taken steps to kind of roll that back to a certain degree. But also Minnesota has stepped up and said, we're going to start cooperating with you in the jails. The message hasn't really gotten down to these nuts that are living out on the street yet about, hey, the DOJ is also coming for the money. And they're also going to find out who's financing this. And they're also, and that takes time, just like in any theater of war, so to speak. And the idea of this is like, but in the meantime, cops should not be put in these positions. And we've seen the two. We've seen the chief from Los Angeles, even though that law was put in a stay, because it's like going to be probably determined it's unconstitutional under the supremacy clause. And I know that I the chief, an appointed chief, Karen Bass appointed him, the radical mayor of Los Angeles. Yeah. He probably just didn't go out there and say this, and I'm not going to tell her that. They probably met on this and like, let's play it safe so we don't bring the heat that Minneapolis did on there. I mean, maybe that happened, maybe that didn't. But the bottom line is, it still took some stones for that chief to come out and say, we're not doing that. And actually to call it kind of stupid. And I'm paraphrasing there. I mean, again, we ask for these leaders. We're getting them now. We're honestly getting them. We're seeing this in law enforcement, like Travis Yates always talks about. You're having leaders be brave, like this guy from Grand Rapids, like the chief from Los Angeles, one of the second largest police department, I think, in America. Outside
I think
New
it's
York,
second,
I think it is.
Yeah, I think they're number 2.
Chicago's third is because they can't retain their numbers. But it's amazing. It's amazing that we're seeing this. Now, the problem will be, and I'm going to ask you guys what your thoughts are on this. Do you think that long term, like these big cities aren't going to get the quality of police officers they want, but they'll get police officers and they'll get people that believe in that shit and will make it through that process? Like, they can hijack any process they want to.
Yeah, but I don't think
if they're going to ignore laws like you're not a legal citizen.
There won't be a police department.
Right.
I think
or
that's what they're shooting for.
A police department full of people that are highly politicized.
It's going to be
highly motivated.
It's going to be the guy. Who are those guys in the vest? What were those names? What were their names, Scott? The guy that got arrested. What was their title that Mayor Johnson gave him?
Oh,
Peacekeepers.
Peacekeepers. That's all it's going to be. It's going to be people running around in Chicago in light blue shirts and a badge that says Chicago Police, and it's going to be anarchy because they're going to believe into, oh, well, Tommy he could steal because he doesn't have a dad. Or, mom didn't have enough money for his, school supplies. So it's okay. But that's what's going to happen. If you get the people, like you're saying, Sean, in regards to that really believe this, it's going to be chaos. And I'm telling you, this is exactly what the Democratic Party wants, is they want complete chaos because they're doing everything that they want to do behind the scenes, and nobody could tell me different. Omar was worth $45,000 when she got into office. Now she's worth $30 million. Like, you can't tell me that they're trying to keep this chaos going by funding and tearing people or tearing the relationship between police and civilians apart, because they're going to keep this chaos going, and it's in their city, and it's going to be it's going to be anarchy because they're going to have policemen that don't give a shit because they're going to make excuses like the politicians.
And a sidebar to this, here in the city of Chicago, you've got Brandon Johnson coming out and saying he's going to make Chicago police officers investigate alleged violations that ICE agents are causing. Hey, man, look no further than the crime that's going on in your own city. And I will specifically mention this one, this video folks may have probably seen. It's making its rounds on social media of these guys just going after somebody in a car with automatic rifles.
Oh, the guy, it was a guy and a girl.
Broad daylight, okay?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's insane.
What a switch.
And so you've got that kind of shit going on, and he's going to sit with a police department that's already stretched thin. Well, he's got his, what'd you say, Chris, like 150 guys that do his detail. Now, now I'm going to what are you going to do? Start some specialty unit that's going to investigate alleged violations by federal officers? Dude, you got way bigger problems to solve. Now, I got to say, and I've said before that I like him and I think he's a good leader. That the superintendent at Chicago Police, Larry Snelling, I would imagine he would probably be a guy that would push back against this. Like, no, this ain't happening. But again, it's in line with what they said in this article about now we're going to pit law enforcement agencies against one another. Cops don't have enough to deal with, that they're going to fuck around with trying to write people, federal agents, tickets for wearing masks. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah. Good luck identifying them. Yeah. Number one. And number two, number two, why don't you take those people, instead of investigating what they're doing wrong, why don't you take those officers that you want to put into that specialized unit and put them in the gun unit? How about that, you moron? Mm-hmm. Like, how about stopping crime? And in that car, by the way, Scott, there was a baby, and the little kid, I should say, and thank God that the little kid wasn't hurt. And they're doing this at an intersection. Yeah. In broad daylight, it's shooting up the car.
Yeah, I shouldn't say I couldn't believe it, but it's really sad to see, I guess.
And we're worried about ICE agents who are enforcing federal laws wearing masks. Like, what have you become?
If you don't look at this, anybody on any level look at this and say they don't care about you. They don't care about you. Every politician go up there and say I want to train police officers, but the fact of the matter is you're saying to them, you're going to go out and confront other armed officers that have the legal authority to be here to do that. Oh, we'll figure this all out in court, in the morgue later on when your family, are we going to be having that many, seriously, this is so dumb. It is literally that dumb. Like, we used to have to deconflict each other when we were doing cases. Remember that, Scott, when we did drug work? Deconflicting, so we didn't do each other as cops on accident. Now you're going to force this confrontation. You're not going to deconflict what you're going to do with a federal agency, because they're going to go, what do you think you're going to come here and serve warrants on us? What are you going to do? Like, are you kidding me? Like, it is asinine, and it's proof that politicians don't know the very documents they swear to uphold. They have no idea what's going on. A guy with a criminal justice degree from UIC is smarter than a guy that runs that city. Think about that. The chief of police in LA has to educate people in the state house that this is an ill-conceived law. Don't do it. But guess what everybody else is doing? New Jersey, Nashville. They gave up the names and published them of the officers that conducted these raids. These people don't care about you. They need to change the way they think about this. They need to produce, honestly, a better product politically, so they stop hemorrhaging voters. Mm-hmm. And stop putting all of these other people at risk in this process. Because what you'll inevitably get is people will go to places where they can be appreciated as police officers, like Chris and I did. And it won't stop until you have a bombed out shithole third world nation that you're importing in there just so you can keep seats in the House of Representatives.
Yep.
It is despicable what we have seen in the last 6 months as to what's going on here. And it's not going to get any better.
No.
People don't start waking up.
And why is it a problem now when Obama deported 9 million people with ICE agents that were wearing masks? Why is it a problem today?
Mm-hmm. Because he's the victim of his own success. Is what I say.
Yeah,
it's catching up.
And
to
Biden
him
did the same thing.
Yeah, and now they're losing seats in Democrat strongholds, and they can't do it. They because guess who controls all the money? The House of Representatives. All this welfare fraud. Virginia is passing a law with that new governor that says it's going to be illegal to request an NGO, non-governmental organization, that's receiving money from the federal government to be audited for what they're doing with that money. Literally, they're trying to pass a law that says
stealing. Yeah.
Right. But here's the thing: they could pass it, but if the federal government comes in and says we want to see it, they're going to get it because they can't they're not going to supersede. Like everybody's doing. Like it's there's so much infighting going on. Like it's so crazy. And listen, I am not by far, and Sean and Scott can attest to this, I am not the guy that you probably want to send in for conflict resolution. You know, probably not the guy to do that.
It's like those Polish guys at the EU.
Yeah.
Blasting all those bureaucrats.
Like,
I'm
the guy. Yeah, I'm like the guy that goes in and said, "All right, everybody, knock it the fuck off." Everybody did what they did, and let's just move forward and shut up with the stupid comments. You did what you did, admit what you did, and move forward. I mean, it's so crazy that they're trying to do this, and they're not really worried about the American people. They're just worried about how they can save seats and save their vote. Well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do the job the right way, and then maybe you'll get more votes, you idiot.
Well, and I'll tell you the guy by the name of David Perez, he retired New Jersey police officer, and he's part of this organization that put this article out. One of the things that he called it in there is criminalizing survival, and I think that's an excellent way to explain it. And what he says about these mask laws that we're going to put in place for law enforcement officers, he says the message is clear: mask bans don't protect the public. They don't improve accountability, and they don't advance reform. They endanger officers, embolden criminals, and put families at risk, all for the sake of political optics, which is
absolutely
what Sean was saying. And that's what it boils down to. It's not about the officers not wearing it. It's about a bigger agenda and a bigger narrative.
Right. And we're worried about wearing masks. Well, what about the millions of people that are here illegal? What about the girls that have been raped and murdered, and the people who've been murdered and kidnapped, and all? Like, what about them? We're not worried about that. We don't want to take care of that. We want to worry about, ICE agents wearing masks. Like, am I the only one that sees how stupid that is? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. Like, these guys and girls are out there risking their lives. These men and women are risking their lives to possibly save your life or one of your family members' lives by an illegal immigrant. And a bad guy that came from prison, a mental institution, is proven to have warrants for rape, or is proven to have warrants for criminal activity, drugs, murder, and we want to criminalize our guys? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. It's so stupid.
Yep.
Well, thankfully, we've got some good leaders stepping up finally in our world.
It's good to see them stepping up.
Yeah, it is.
We've reached some desperate times, and the generals are finally paying attention, and this is awesome. I mean, you can't thank Chief McDonnell enough for coming out, even if it was coordinated and planned, and his mayor knew about it, and she was just going to go, let's just do it because whatever. Bottom line is he still did it and sent the message, controlling that many officers in one of the biggest cities in the United States. That is awesome.
It's great
leadership. Great leadership. And I think when you start seeing some of these other, like him, Chicago, the guy in Grand Rapids and L.A. and all this stuff, I think the more you see those, I think it's like, force in numbers. I think you're going to be like, okay, it's going to be okay for me to see what they're, call them up and say, hey, what happened to you, whatever, get fired or whatever. I think you're going to see more and more people seeing these leaders step up and have some courage. I think you're going to see more and more have the same courage, because I really think the people want a safe society.
Agreed.
I do.
Prudent men and women.
And women for that matter, except, New Orleans. But anyway, thank you all for listening to our show today. Please go to where you get your podcast, do a review, download, leave a rating, a review, and subscribe. Also, you can email us at 3copstalk@gmail.com. You can email us anything. You want to be on the show, you have a suggestion for a show, you have a question, you have a concern, you want to, you have someone that wants to be a guest, or you have a suggestion, please email us there. You can also go to 3copstalk.com, download and look at old episodes, and you can also leave us an email there. Otherwise, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to us, and have a blessed day.